Spider-Man was always one of my favourite superheroes when I was a kid, and the reason for that was definitely the way that he moved. Spider-Man moved unlike any other superhero or any other character from film or TV really. He's always landing in these cool poses with his legs stretched out. He's crawling along the ceiling like some kind of creepy alien, and in movement he's agile, he's fast, he's preternatural thanks to his spider sense, and it's just such a unique skill set and of course extremely watchable.
The last time I fought Spider-Man, he was formidable, powerful, agile, almost invincible.
Of course, the question that I'm interested in is whether we can move like that, and specifically what training we should do, what training we should add to our routines in order to become that agile and that fluid. So in this new series, I'll be looking at moves and concepts you can add to your training to help you move a little bit more like Peter Parker. For this video, we'll be looking at contralateral training and training each side of your body independently. In future, I'll be looking at mobility and proprioception and animal moves. So if that all sounds cool, let's go. The bilateral deficit tells us that we're capable of exerting more strength from a single arm when we use that arm alone rather than in conjunction with another arm. That tells us, for instance, that in theory, if we perform single-armed unilateral dumbbell curls, we'll be able to exert more strength than if we perform barbell curls. The reason for this isn't fully understood, but it's generally thought to be to do with the neural drive, with the mind-muscle connection, and our central nervous system. In other words, it takes double the effort to use both arms, and therefore you see a slight loss in your strength. That means that if you perform unilateral dumbbell curls instead of barbell curls, you should be able to lift more weight and therefore see more growth. This can also help to improve symmetry, somewhat ironically, because of course you can't use your other limb to help. And there's another benefit to training this way as well, and that's that when you train one limb, it actually has a knock-on effect on the other limb to the tune of about 50%. So if you only trained bicep curls with your right arm, your left arm would enjoy 50% of those same strength gains. Again, this is thought to have to do with the mind-muscle connection. You're actually strengthening the neural maps, even though the muscle on that side wouldn't actually be growing, so you become more efficient in that movement. This might have to do with the fact that we often use our arms together, and therefore the neural maps are somewhat linked in our brains. Remember, neurons that fire together, wire together. That means that when you use your right arm, your left arm is also somewhat lighting up, and you're strengthening those neural connections. That means that if you train using unilateral exercises, so perform a number of curls on your right arm, then a number of curls on your left arm, you'd actually potentially be essentially doing more volume, at least as far as your central nervous system was concerned. This is what's known as the contralateral strength training effect, or sometimes cross-education. And this might also provide an interesting option for training whilst you're injured. At least if you train the healthy limb, that'll prevent some loss of strength in the injured limb. And it's a fantastic way to increase your athleticism, your proprioception in particular. So like I've said, the right and left limbs are linked in the brain, likely due to the amount of tasks we partake in that involve both being used at the same time. From an efficiency standpoint, it makes a ton of sense for the body to cheat, for the brain to cheat, and only send one set of instructions. If both limbs move at the same time or in an opposing manner, you only have to think about moving one instead of thinking about moving two. Opposition being the word we use to describe movements where the limb moves in the opposite way, for instance during a crawl or when we're walking even. So what if instead of using your arms either together or on their own, you train them using slightly different movements? Well, this is what's known as contralateral training sometimes. And guess what? Training your right arm can even strengthen your left leg and vice versa. All your limbs are somewhat linked in your neural map. You might have heard that the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and the right side of the brain controls the left. This isn't 100% true. Sometimes the same side of the brain will control the same side of the body, and it's even possible for that control to migrate from one side of the brain to the other in rare circumstances. For the most part, this X-shaped image is accurate. Anatomically, the movement of the right shoulder is also linked to the movement of the left hip, and vice versa. And this is why we walk the way we do, swinging our arms in an opposing manner. So when you train in this way, using crawls or using walks, you're actually strengthening these connections and thereby improving some of your explosiveness, your agility, and your core strength. You might even be thickening the bundle of nerves that run from the left to the right hemisphere in the brain, called the corpus callosum, like ambidexterity training, but with weights. This movement also forces us to use our obliques to resist torque, as do any movements where we're using different amounts of resistance on the left and the right sides. This helps us to stabilize ourselves, which makes us much more agile, much more athletic, and also impossible to push over. And whenever you train using offset loads or alternating movements like this on the left and right side, you're also increasing your proprioception, your kinesthetic awareness, because you're now concentrating on moving both sides of the body separately. There are plenty of different ways you can incorporate contralateral training into your current training. One of those, like I say, is crawls. So Spiderman crawls or bear crawls, where you're moving close to the ground and holding yourself in that low position. It's also just great for all sorts of other things. It's a great pec workout because it's got that isometric hold, and it's actually fairly tiring, so it can even be useful as a kind of finisher. One-armed, one-legged push-up using opposite sides is another fantastic demonstration and test of your core strength as well as your contralateral strength, and it's a great way to build that up. And farmer's walks, especially ones where you're more weighted on one side, such as the suitcase carry, are another great option. Finally, exercise where you're performing slightly different movements on each side or at the top and the bottom of the body will also tax your brain and your central nervous system that little bit more. Things like hanging from a pull-up bar and performing curls are cool tricks to try and work towards. Of course, some exercises like the Turkish get-up naturally involve different movements from the different limbs all at the same time. Want to see how difficult it is to concentrate on movement from the two sides of your body? Then try patting your tummy and rubbing your head. Nope, rubbing your tummy and patting your head, and you'll see what I mean. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting, guys. If you did, then thanks a ton for watching. Please subscribe for more like this, share it around, that helps me out immensely. And comment down below and let me know what contralateral exercises you use or any I've missed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching this, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Yep, I am a grown man. I'm somebody's dad.